50s and in the 60s, and so he talks about the literary presences of the time, particularly Brendan Behan, that he knew very well, and he describes Behan. Well, Behan, of course, spoke Irish very well. In fact, perhaps Behan's greatest works are in the Irish language. It's just a handful of poems, about 13, 14 poems, but they're fantastic, they're wonderful poems, very beautifully achieved, because he spoke Irish very well. He, I think, learned Irish in Connacht, under the tuition of Martin O'Kane, and so he's very fluent. He also learned French, was sort of a credible street French. He was very vulgar in French and was very effective in that way. And of course he spoke English. So, and he was a bit ambiguous about his sexuality. And so Montague in this book describes him as a trilingual bisexual. Well, I can't aspire to that. Not even a sort of amphiphidextrous homosexual. So I'm going to read a little poem called Sketch, or Sketch. It's been influenced by a Greek poet called Constantin Cavade, who lived in Alexandria most of his life, and he died in 1933. He's one of the great Greek poets of the century. And there has been many of them, because the Greek poets can draw on all of that myth that my neighbour drew on so effectively in his letters. And Cavade, and also Cavade has written most humane poems about being gay, very beautiful poems, I think, because they're poems about love. And so, reading Cavade a number of years ago, I think that changed my whole outlook on how to write poems about this particular subject matter. This poem is called Sketch, about a little boat journey from Maharoti Pier out to Tory Island, somebody who was important in my life at that time. Sketch. And it's just drawing a little sketch of this person sitting opposite me in the boat, in a small little boat. Sketch. Certainly, I have captured his likeness exactly in this little pen drawing from which the colour is fading. Sketched quickly in a school copybook one Sunday morning at the beginning of summer, while we were crossing to Tory for Maharoti. The radiance of the sun brightening land and sea. He was seated by my side in the stern of the boat, an angelic smile on his beautiful young face, as he gazed across at the Donegal mountains, shimmering and shining under heaven's light. How lovely he was. Much more beautiful, as I recall him to my memory now, than this cool, pale face captured in my sketch. Now, as I recall him from my youth. Stop. Time has aged all these things, the youth, the sketch, the old boat. Sketching. Kinche ta kasula and shahago. Capi go crane silini at the pincho, a will a dank shiruas. Sketch out go tapi go your scholar, mudging boni do sa tauri, as mudging trasno go tari yo kane. Skev na grey ni give ni muddish cheer, na heel mo he when you're one wedge, even on your o Allen. Agus fairnch an honor gate your Colin. Glewi agus gleina for house na boys, na heavy greenwood. A wada airing these greenwood, and ish is may a hot to reach ton more. Na may want snitches on cappy as a sketcher, and ish is may a hot to reach just more you. Stand, can reach in a way, and the rubbish on her fat, and stalker, and sketcher. remember years ago, the first time I went to London, maybe I'll read that poem. The first time I went to London, I was 16, and I got a job in one of those very ritzy hotels in Park Lane as a skivvy, washing dishes in the kitchen. So I've written quite a number of poems about London, but the first time walking up Shaftesbury Avenue, all of it was amazing and intriguing, and of course a cultural shock. Somebody coming from a very tight-knit conservative community that I came from, but a wonderful community, of course. You're mollycoddled in that nest of moss to a large extent, and being ejected from it out into the world, of course, for all of us can be a great shock. But walking up Shaftesbury Avenue one summer's evening when I arrived in London, I saw this apparition walking down on the other side of the street. He had sort of puce hair, and he was wearing a t-shirt, and written on the t-shirt, emblazoned on this t-shirt, was something like dip me in chocolate and throw me to the homos. And there was a lot of people around him and talking to him, and it was a very flamboyant figure. I didn't know who he was, and I asked somebody, and somebody said, "Oh, that's Quentin Crisp." And at that time he had come very much to the fore because John Hurt had done The Naked Civil Servant, and so Quentin sort of had come out of obscurity to become this great iconic figure. And of course anybody who met him, if anybody did, he lived afterwards in Greenwich Village, and was a rather extraordinary man. So, when you could sort of bear the smell, he didn't really wash himself very much, but he put more and more makeup on the dirt that had accumulated over the years. And anyway, this poem that I'm going to read is called "I'm Charlie the Skivvy." Most of my neighbours call me Charlie, not Cahill. Cahill is sort of a more official name that has accrued on to me later on, but I'm known as Charlie Sharkey locally. It's a great name for a sort of late night blues disc jockey, isn't it? Charlie Sharkey presenting Sid Vicious records. So I'm Charlie the Skivvy, and it's about walking around Hyde Park and all of this, and trying to make some sense of that cultural shock. I started off the poem by using or parodying a poem that most of us who went to schools in Ireland know by heart, or those of us of a certain age who went to school and learned things by heart. Misha Rathri and Filler. I'm sure many of you know that. Misha Rathri and Filler by Lovish Sra. It's